There is a surprisingly simple way in finance to grow your money with very little effort. You may not believe me yet, so let's do a quick thought experiment. If I took this piece of paper and fold it in half 42 times, how thick do you think it would be? The height of a person? The height of a building? The answer is, it would be thick enough to reach the moon. Sounds ridiculous, right? That is the staggering power of compounding. At the beginning, it looks tiny, but over time, the growth becomes ridiculous. Compound interest works exactly the same way, and that's why I call it the lazy way to grow your money. Because once you set the system up properly, Tom does a lot of heavy lifting. So today, I'm going to explain compound interest using chickens and eggs. Then show you the two keys you need to make it actually work. Hi, I'm Cici, a chartered accountant with a master's degree in finance. So let's make it simple. Forget formulas for a minute. Imagine a farm. Now, let me introduce you to two farmers, Tom and Sarah. They both start with exactly 10 chickens. Now, this is obviously a silly cartoon farm, not a real investment. But bear with me, because it explains the concept really clearly. On this cartoon farm, every chicken lays one egg per month, and every egg can hatch into a new chicken. So in month 1, those 10 chickens lay 10 eggs. But here's where Tom and Sarah make very different choices. Tom collects his 10 eggs every month and puts them in a basket. The eggs are there, but they never hatch. So every month, Tom only has the original 10 chickens laying eggs. The basket grows, but the farm doesn't. Now, let's look at Sarah. She does something different. Her 10 chickens also lay 10 eggs in the first month, but Sarah doesn't just put eggs in a basket, she hatches them. So those 10 eggs become 10 new chickens. Now, Sarah has 20 chickens. Month 2, 20 chickens lay 20 eggs. Sarah hatches all of them too. Now, she has 40 chickens. Then 40 becomes 80 and 80 becomes 160. Now, quick question. Can you guess how many chickens Sarah would have after 1 year? The answer is over 40,000. From just 10 chickens at the start, very quickly, the farm gets ridiculous. But Tom? After 1 year, Tom still only has 10 chickens plus 120 eggs. Same starting point, completely different result. And the farm version and the money version work on exactly the same logic. The 10 chickens are the money you started with. The eggs are the returns your money earns. Simple interest is like Tom's farm. The eggs stay in the basket and never get chance to become new chickens and produce more eggs in the future. In money terms, that means the interest you earn sits separately and doesn't earn any more interest later. Only your original money keeps working, which is why simple interest produces the same amount of interest each year. Compound interest is like Sarah's farm. Sarah doesn't put eggs in a basket, she lets them hatch into new chickens. So now the farm has more chickens working, and when those new chickens start laying eggs too, the farm begins to grow much faster. In money terms, the interest you earn gets added back, so next year you're earning interest on a large balance. And that's exactly why Sarah's farm keeps growing and why compound interest is so powerful. Right, now let's look at the real numbers. I put together a simple spreadsheet here so you can see where the numbers come from. We start with £10,000 and we're assuming a 10% annual return. Let's look at simple interest first. With simple interest, you earn £1,000 every year. Year 1, year 10, year 20, always £1,000. That's because simple interest only ever works on your original £10,000. So after 40 years, simple interest gives you £50,000. Now, let's look at compound interest. In year 1, it's the same. £10,000 becomes £11,000. But in year 2, you're earning 10% on £11,000 instead of £10,000. So the balance grows a little faster. And that keeps happening every single year. The balance gets bigger, the interest gets bigger, and the growth starts to accelerate. To make this easier to see, let's put simple interest and compound interest side by side. The gray line is simple interest, flat, steady, £50,000 after 40 years. The gold line is compound interest. It starts slowly, then begins to curve upwards. By year 20, about £67,000, and by year 40, about £453,000. So after 40 years, with simple interest, your money grows to £50,000. That's 5 times your initial investment. With compound interest, it grows to around £453,000, over 45 times your initial investment. Same £10,000, same 10%, same 40 years. The only difference is whether the returns were reinvested or not. That's the power of compound interest. Now you can see that compound interest can create a much bigger result than simple interest. But here's where most beginners miss the point. It doesn't work automatically just because you know what it means. For it to really work, you need 2 things. Key 1, don't interrupt compounding. Key 2, give it enough time. Let's break those down. There are 2 common ways beginners interrupt the compounding without even realizing it. The first is taking money out too early, maybe for a holiday or a new car. The second is being forced to sell at the wrong time. Maybe there is an emergency. Maybe an unexpected bill arrives. And if the market is down at that moment, you may have no choice but to sell at a loss. So you don't just interrupt the compounding, you may also lock in a loss. That's a double hit. That's why your emergency fund matters. It protects your investments, so when life happens, you don't have to sell them. As a rule of thumb, only invest the money you don't expect to need in the next 5 years. Now, let me show you what can happen if you interrupt the compounding too early. The gold line is what happens if the full £10,000 stays invested for 40 years. It grows to around £453,000. Now, look at the red line. In year 3, something comes up and £5,000 is taken out. At the time, it may feel like it's only £5,000, but by year 40, the final value is around £283,000. That creates a difference of around £170,000. So you didn't just take out £5,000, you gave up what that £5,000 could have become. That is the real cost of interrupting compounding too early. The second key is give it enough time. And this is where most beginners get caught in 2 ways. Either they give up too early because the early numbers feel a bit underwhelming, or they keep putting it off, waiting for that perfect moment to start. Both are incredibly expensive mistakes. Let me show you why, using this same compound interest curve. At year 5, the £10,000 has grown to about £16,105. I get it, it doesn't feel life-changing yet. By year 10, you are at nearly £26,000. That's 2.6 times your starting amount. Better, but you might still look at that and think, is this really worth the wait? But keep going. If you hold on until year 20, you are at £67,000. And if you wait all the way to year 40, it explodes to over £452,000. The magic isn't just in the final number, it's in the shape of the curve. In the first 10 years, the money grows by around £16,000. But in the final 10 years, it grew by a staggering £278,000. So you can see clearly that the later years are doing much more of the work. That is why compound interest needs time. The early years build the base, the later years show the power. Now, a lot of beginners think, I will start investing later, once I'm earning a bit more. And it sounds sensible, but let's compare two people, James and Emma. James starts today with £10,000 and leaves it untouched for 40 years. Emma waits 10 years, then starts with £20,000, double the amount, but she only has 30 years for it to grow. The results are eye-opening. James ends up with around £453,000. Emma, only around £349,000. So even though Emma invested twice as much money, James still finishes over £100,000 richer. Why? Because James had more time. That is the part beginners almost always underestimate. So your job isn't to wait for the right time or high salary. Your only job is to get the ball rolling with whatever you have right now. Set the system up and then let the time do the hard work for you. So, to bring it all together, compound interest is when your returns get reinvested and start earning returns of their own. But for it to really work, you need two things. Don't interrupt the compounding and give it enough time. And remember, the early years build the base, the later years show the power. If this video helped, give it a like. It really does help other UK beginners find this content. In my next video, I will share the 2 ETFs I've been holding for 5 years as part of my long-term portfolio and the actual returns I've seen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you there.